This is Big Tasty Sports. Before we actually get into the picks today, have a little bit of an addendum to this week's video. Shortly after finishing recording my picks and D's picks, we got the news that Mike White is going to be out this week for the Jets and Zach Wilson is back in. Well, shit. Not exactly what you want to hear when you're on the Jets. He and I both were on the Jets. Now, the way we do this show is we make the picks at the time that we record and we go with it. So not going back on the picks here. Those will be the official plays. I have them at -1.5. You'll hear me talk about that. D has them on the money line. You'll hear him talk about that. But just want to say that I would tread with caution betting the Jets this week. I don't think either D or I would have taken that bet at that number. I'm actually going to check right now if the line has moved in response to that, because I think it could still be a close game. Yeah, so the Jets now are +1.5 or +105. It's probably not terrible. I'm not sure if I would bet it there still. I think I'd like a little bit more with Zach Wilson under center. He just hasn't proven to be even competent at all. Still think it's a very good defense. I think it makes the under an even better look. That probably has moved down. Yeah, it's gone from 44.5 to 43.5. There's a chance I might get in on that. I don't hate it because I think the offense struggles more with Zach Wilson in. So just want to say, you will hear us talk about those picks. Those will still be the official plays for the show, but I would tread carefully and probably not make them, as neither D or I would at this point. All right. Now that we've said that, we can jump into the rest of the show. I'm actually going to go first this week. Oh, by the way, if you're watching this, please do hit that like button. That would be greatly appreciated. Subscribe to the channel, blah, blah, blah. All the same stuff. You know the deal. All right, I'm going to go first because I am actually taking a 3-team teaser with the Saturday games. I'm doing that for a couple reasons. Number one, I do like all three of these games with what I'm doing here, and so I think that it's a decent pick. It's something I did already go and bet for a unit, so I absolutely am betting it. The other reason is, honestly, it's fun. Like, I do gamble on sports to try to make money. And I also like to enjoy doing it. So I'm not going to make a bet that I think is stupid just because it's fun. But when the opportunity presents itself to do something that is fun, where I can have action on every game on a Saturday, and I think they're decent picks, I'm definitely going to pull the trigger on that. So my teaser, and I know normally you don't want to tease through zero. I get it. But for me, this is enough points that it flips a line far enough that it's worth it. Because I'm actually taking an 8-point teaser here. And on FanDuel, if you do an 8-point teaser, it's +100, which I think is FanDuel regularly has the best lines on teasers. I didn't go check what it would be on other books, but I think that that's more like -120, -130 on other books. So if you're going to do this, I would encourage you to do it on FanDuel. The only downside on FanDuel is Baltimore, who I'll be teasing up, is +2.5 there instead of +3 that they are at other books. But again, taking the 8 points, I'm getting them past the 10 anyway, so I feel all right about that. So game number one, I'm taking Minnesota from -3.5 to -4.5. I think that there's a chance that this is a close game. I'm probably going to do something later today on all the Vikings hate that is out there right now. Well, and I want to be clear, like I hear people talking. I'm going to just say one name now because it's someone that I listen to and generally respect. But I heard Rob Pizzola on Pat Mayo's show talking about the Vikings, and this is what I'm hearing regularly. Like, he said two things in close succession. He said, the Vikings are not a good football team. And then about 2 sentences later, he said, the Vikings are a little bit above average football team. Well, which one is it? They're either not good, which is what I hear over and over right now. That, like, the way you hear people talk about the Vikings at the moment, you would think that they are one of the bottom 5 teams in the league. And I just think that's not true. And also, a lot of the people who talk are like, oh, Minnesota Vikings fans are going to come at me and, they're irrational and stuff. Look, I don't follow tons of Vikings fans on here. There, I'm sure, are plenty of irrational Vikings fans. But most people, even who are Vikings fans, like me, if you ask me how are the Vikings, I would say a couple things. Number one, they are, I would agree with the second thing Rob said, a slightly above average NFL team. They have great skill position players on offense. Their offensive line has been playing a little bit better. When Kirk Cousins gets time, I think this is a top tier offense. The defense is absolutely not very good. They give up a ton of yards. What the defense can do at times is create turnovers. And if they create turnovers, then that gives the offense the chances they need to be able to win games. So the reason Minnesota's not a really good team is that their defense is not very good. Their offense is good enough to be a very good team, in my opinion. So I would say this is a team that is a little bit above average. They've gotten lucky / been able to win a lot of close games. Sure, many of those games could have gone the other way, and that would have been a little bit unlucky, but not terribly so. So it's a team that's overperformed their skill level, but is not a terrible team. So that's where I see the Vikings. I think that is, I mean, comment at me, let me know, but I think that this is a rational take. They have a good offense, especially if they can protect Cousins. They have a bad defense that needs to be able to create turnovers to contribute in the way that it needs to winning. And that's kind of how it goes. If they don't create any turnovers, Minnesota much more likely to lose. If Cousins gets pressured a lot, much more likely to lose. But the Colts are not a good team. And I think that the Colts, so I was high on the Colts and many other people were going into the season. And I do think that they're coming around a little bit. I think that defense is getting better. They're getting Jonathan Taylor going a little bit more. Matt Ryan still hasn't looked good, to be perfectly honest, and he is going to have a soft secondary to go against this week, but he doesn't do a good job pushing the ball down the field. He's been throwing the ball to the other team a lot. I just talked about how the Vikings defense needs to be able to force turnovers to contribute. I think that that's something they potentially can do against Matt Ryan. I wouldn't be shocked to see them get at least one interception, if not two, in this game. And I think if you just stack up the teams, the Colts defense is decent, but they have to get pressure on Cousins. Otherwise, I think Cousins is still good enough to take them apart a little bit. The Colts offense is not good. Neither is the Vikings defense. So it's kind of like two decent units and two not good units on either side of the ball. And I just think that Minnesota is still the better team here. Now, are they better in terms of winning by more than a field goal? I don't know. Minnesota plays a ton of close games. And so win or lose, I can see, I think the least likely outcome to me here is that Minnesota gets throttled. Like Indianapolis beats them by 10, 14 plus. I think it's probably a close game either way. If anyone gets blown out, I think it's a couple turnovers for the Vikings or takeaways, and then they're able to put it on Indianapolis. I think that's in the realm of possibility, but I think a close game is more likely. So I'm going to tease Minnesota to plus 4.5. Gets me through the 3, through the 4. And I think it is very likely that they, even if they lose, they keep it that close. Then second, I'm teasing Baltimore up to plus 10.5. This is just a game. A lot of it is a fate of the Browns. I don't think that the Browns are very good. Deshaun Watson may come around eventually, and it could be this game, I suppose. But until, I don't know that it's likely for him to go from shit to awesome in one game. I think there's got to be some bit of progression there. And the Ravens defense has been really good lately. So I think this is likely a low-scoring game with Lamar Jackson still not back. I don't necessarily expect the Ravens offense to go off either. I did think about the under in this game, and I may still play that, but I just prefer teasing the Ravens up. I think this is probably a low-scoring, relatively close game, 3 to 4 points either way. So at 10.5, I'll definitely take it. And then the last one is I'm going to take Buffalo plus 1. I would just take the money line, but putting them in the teaser takes them to plus 1. It gives you a very slight amount of insurance. If the Dolphins won a 1-point game, you get a push on that part of the teaser. But I don't think the Dolphins are terrible, and I think that they could kind of hang in this game, but I do think that the Bills are still one of the top 3 teams in the league, and that if they can start putting it back together on offense, they're going to be able to win and maybe even put it on the Dolphins. Yanni and I talk about more about that game, so I won't do any more there. I'm going to give this a confidence level 2, mostly just because it's a 3-leg teaser. And the more legs you add, the less confidence you want to have. So I'm going to give it a 2, even though I like it all right. My second pick for this week, I got to stick with my guns. I already played the Jets at minus 107. Now, as I always do, give you the line that's there when I am making this video. And I looked this up like an hour ago. So let me double check it. I think the Jets are minus 1.5 now. Yes, minus 1.5 at minus 109 on Barstool. This is another game that I talk about more in depth with Yanni. So if you want a more in-depth breakdown, go and listen to my conversation with him. We talk about this near the end of our conversation. It's a good point too. Yanni and I talked a little more because I can't get as many guys on the stream this week, just mostly my schedule with work being really busy. So Yanni and I talked a little longer, and this is a game we discussed. I think he brought up a good point that the possible downside is Quinn Williams being out for this game. But the Lions just aren't as good away from home. I think the Lions this is a sell high spot on the Lions. I think the Lions are decent. And I say that when Yanni and I talk. That win over the Vikings, totally legit, not fluky. I think the Lions and Vikings are actually similar teams. And kind of turnovers either way. The Vikings had a couple key turnovers in that game. Anyway, that's in the past. All that to say, I think the Lions are good. It's just them going on the road against a team that I think is kind of made to beat them. They have a defense that I think is going to be able to slow the Lions down and keep them from putting up a ton of points. And then a Jets offense that, while they've struggled against elite defenses, I think is going to struggle a lot less to put up points against a defense like the Lions, even though they've been playing a little bit better as well. And we got to give them some credit there. But I see the Jets winning this game by 4-7. Probably, I don't think it's a blowout, but I do think that the Jets win somewhat handily by being able to hold the Lions from scoring a lot in that game. So I'm going to give this a confidence level 3. It's the first pick I made on the week. And again, I made it on the money line. But I do like it. So I'll go ahead and give it a confidence level 3. And then my last pick, which this goes to the contest thing as well that Yanni talks about in our conversation with the cappers on this show. We got a contest to see who can win. I'm right in the mix right now. I think either in first or second. I'd have to double check, but it's close. And so time to try to pull away a little bit. I'm going to take the Arizona Cardinals to win by 1 to 6 points at plus 320 on BetMGM. I took this bet one other time this season, and man, I wish I could remember what game it was. I think it was something with the Colts where they threw a touchdown right at the end of the game instead of kicking a field goal, when the field goal, I believe, would have won it or tied the game for them. And so they ended up winning by 7 instead of 3. So I came close the first time. I'm going to go back to that well. The way I see this game, and I understand Kyler Murray is out, and Russell Wilson might play. Also, the Broncos defense has been pretty good, and the Broncos have a few decent weapons. What it comes down to for me is I think this is a close game. I think that it is a low-scoring game. I considered the under on this game as well. I think at times the Cardinals defense has been decent, and going against an offense like the Broncos, I think that they'll be able to get some work done as long as they come out and give a good effort in this game. And then on the offensive side, Colt McCoy's been around the block, and I don't think they'll put up a lot of points, but honestly, if they can just get to like 17 here, I think that they can win the game. We'll see if they can do it, but at plus 320 in what I believe is probably a like 3-point or less game either way, I will take the Cardinals because the Broncos have not shown that they can win at all. Oh, and by the way, I'm betting that for half a unit. So that is not a full unit bet for me. Again, I want to be clear about that, but I am going to take it for half a unit because I do like it. Just not as much as some of the other plays. All right, those are my 3 picks for the week. Let's move on to the others who were able to join me. It is my weekly Thursday night sit down with Yanni, which is always a highlight of the week. How's it going tonight, Yanni?
It's going well, man. How about yourself?
Man, it's good. Today was the first day of a multiple day vacation where I'm mostly just staying at home, but I'm not working. So I was actually doing not surprisingly, a lot with betting today, little house cleaning. So not too bad.
Staycation is the new vacation, and man,
It really is.
as long as you got some things to wager on, it's all good.
Exactly. Which this is Thursday night. It'll be over by the time people see it. But the game tonight doesn't give us the best of wagering opportunities with the Rams involved. But you take what you can get, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a little lighter than I'd like to be for a Thursday night game as far as what I'm looking at, but I think Devontae Adams is a good play tonight, right? I mean,
Yeah,
he's clearly kind of like the best guy out there, so we'll see. We'll see.
totally. He's
No.
a beast, man. He's
Oh yeah,
absolutely a beast. So,
no doubt, no doubt.
how was your day today?
Good. I unfortunately had a busy day, and ironically, my day was centered around handicapping, and it didn't work out that way. So I'm a little behind, but luckily, obviously, we've gone through some things already this week, so not the end of the world. But I kind of like you, it's call it degenerate, whatever you want, but that's what I want to spend my day doing, and it didn't happen today.
I know it always is a bummer, especially if you think you're going to have time to do it and then you don't. That's
Exactly.
always a bummer.
Exactly.
So, all right, man. Well, hey, let's jump into it here. I know we talked on D's podcast, which will come out sometime before too long. Walk through some of these games, but I'm very interested to see what you pull out as your 3 most confident selections for the week. So, let's kick it off.
Well, first of all, I don't know how much confidence I have, and I'll tell you why. There were 6 or 7 plays that I like this week, and obviously I'm trying to narrow it down to 2 plus a plus money pick. And I feel like whenever I'm in that range of half a dozen games, it seems like I always pick the wrong ones. And I realize that's part of just the statistics of betting and how it works sometimes. But particularly the last like month of the season, it's been that way with both picks and player props. So as I pick these three, I'm going to keep my sheet here, and I'm going to evaluate obviously on Sunday what ends up happening here to see if that trend holds true. So we'll see, but that's just a little bit about where my confidence level is with these picks here today. So but I'll tell you, I'll get started. I do like this first pick a lot though. And I'll be honest, I can't remember. I like to give credit when I see something from a capper that I like. And for the life of me, I can't remember where I saw this, but this popped up early on the radar. And I said, oh, that looks interesting. Did a little bit of research and definitely liked it. And again, I wish I could give credit because I cannot remember for the life of me where I saw this. But what I'm looking at here is New York Jets team total over 16 and a half.
Oh.
And look, first of all, I think I'm a Bills fan. I hope the Bills shut them out. I'll take the loss. I'll be happy with it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that this Jets team with Mike White believes in what they're doing offensively. Their wide receiver core is healthy. And I think that the fact that they beat the Bills once already, they're going in with some confidence. It's not like they're going to go in there being intimidated and thinking, I don't know if we can play with this team. They know they can play with them. So I like them in this spot. I feel like with the way Mike White's been throwing, and sure, it's a small sample size, he could easily get destroyed. But I think that he is playing well enough here that they're going to come up with 17 points somehow in this game. Again, I'll be happy to be wrong as a Bills fan on this, but I don't think so. I think that's a very solid play getting this Jets offense, which is blocking better. They run a nice scheme, I believe. I mean, you saw them last week.
Yeah.
The way they incorporate some of the reverses and just different things they do, they have a creative game plan. So 16 and a half points seems too low, even though I know they're on the road playing against a quality defense. I just think that it's going to be one of those situations where, maybe they scratch and claw, but they're going to get to 17 points, I think, in this game.
Yeah, I like that. Did you get it at minus 110 or what was the juice on that?
Let me pull it real quick. I just had it here.
I pulled up FanDuel to look, but
minus 115 on DraftKings.
Okay. I will say, I don't know if you prefer this or not, because I don't know how much 16 is a key number, but FanDuel has 15 and a half at minus 122. So the juice is a little bit more, but you get another point. So
hey, let's do that. I would take that. I mean, 16 to me, it's worth that point for the 7 cents of juice there. Let's do it.
I kind
Let's
of
do
thought
it.
so too. So, man, that is interesting. I will admit I have not looked into team totals as much as I probably should. Maybe I've gotten a little bit lazy or something, but I've really focused on just the sides and the totals in general. But I like that play a lot too, man. This offense with Mike White, while Mike White is not a Hall of Famer in the making or anything, they're competent now. And I like what you said about them being creative sometimes. And let's be honest, this Jets defense is a defense that is capable of putting their offense in some good situations too. Pinning somebody deep, getting an interception, whatever it is. So, man, to come up with 17, or in this case, 16, I think that's really solid.
It sure seems like it. And I'll tell you this, I don't think this is going to happen. And again, as a Bills fan, I hope this doesn't happen. But I got to be honest with you. We talked about it on D's show. The plus 10, which is out there right now, is pretty appealing. And I got to tell you, at plus 380 money line, that's not the worst bet in the world. Now, do I think they're going to go in there and win? Probably not. But I think the potential return on investment, if you're one of those guys that likes to kind of take shots with a live dog, that number to me seems way off. I mean, I feel like that's more of a plus 300 type line to me, if that even. So, plus 380 is out there on the money line. And I'm not going to use that for my plus money pick, even though whoever does that and wins could make up some ground. But I mean,
That's true.
I just think, even though we know the Bills can blow out teams, it's very doable for them. But I just feel like the way they're playing defense right now, and as I think we all know Von Miller's not going to be there. I just feel like, again, 15 and a half, 16 and a half point, that's too low. So that'll be my first play.
Yeah, man, this won't come as a shock to you after the conversation we had, but I haven't recorded my segment, but that plus 10 is in the running for me because it got to 10. Like that's a big number. And I actually did throw a very small amount on that money line that you just talked about too. I will be very happy if I can get inside that plus 10, and I'll go ahead and lose the money line wager. And a Bills win sounds good to me, but it does seem pretty wide for where the Jets are at right now. So
I agree, man. I just think their defense is playing too well, and I think White gives them some confidence. And really, even if and you kind of saw it in that game last week, even if the Jets don't win, they're playing very competitively. And I think the difference is we saw with Zach Wilson, 3 and out, 3 and out. They just couldn't
yep.
stay on the field. At least with White, they're moving the ball. I mean, I know they stalled last week, kicked a bunch of field goals, but I mean, they're moving up and down the field. So it's not like they're struggling to get the offense going.
Yep, agreed. What confidence level do you want to go with on that one?
I'll give it a 3 just because, again, I
Yeah.
like the number. I feel like the number's solid, and at least for me, that's the one I ended up grading as my top pick for the week.
I mean, my vote of confidence is I just bet it while we were talking. So,
there you go. I like
that's
it.
my vote of confidence.
I like it. I like it.
All right, man. What's the second pick?
All right. So I'm going to go with a 2-team 6-point teaser here for the second pick. And there are some 8.5s out there with the Kansas City Chiefs right now on unabated. I think 2 or 3 sites have 8.5 right now. So I'm looking at that, and I'm going to partner that with the Philadelphia Eagles -7. So obviously Chiefs down to 2.5, Eagles to -1. And it's pretty simple. And I know it's not a full long teaser. The Eagles are on the road. I get it. And it's a divisional game. I don't like that either. But I just think, this Giants team finally coming back to earth a little bit of reality check for that offense. They struggle to kind of throw the football. Barkley slowed down a little bit. And I think the Eagles defense getting Jordan Davis back, I think that helps with their run defense against a guy like Saquon Barkley. We see obviously on offense, they seem to be able to kind of score whenever they need and want to. So I think they get it done. The Chiefs game, I have a weird feeling this is going to be closer than maybe some people think. I don't know. We know the Chiefs are capable of blowing anybody out. We know that. But I don't think that's going to be the case here. I feel like that Denver defense, I mean, all they do is play tough and hold teams to, 13, 14, 17 points. I don't know if they'll do that here. And obviously, I have no confidence in Russell Wilson in that offense. So I feel like the Chiefs coming off of a loss, They want to kind of get back going strong in the home stretch. They still have a shot to get that 1 seed. Even though they're not in the driver's seat right now, I don't see them losing. I hope that at that -2.5, you think, oh, all they need to do is win. Well, I lost last week with Baltimore -2.5
Yeah.
because they only got it. They snuck out a 1-point win. So it's not impossible, but I think Kansas City at the end of the day, just too much firepower there. Not enough firepower for Denver. I think that the Chiefs come away with a win, even if it is a 6-point win or a relatively close game. I think they come away with a win, and same thing with Philly. So I'll roll the dice with that 2-point teaser, or I'm sorry, 6-point 2-team teaser.
Yeah, definitely like both of these games. All that you just said about them there. Just to speak to the Kansas City one a little bit, because Philly, I think two teams kind of go in different directions. Fully on board there. Kansas City, I've had sort of that same feeling because I've thought about betting a couple teasers with Kansas City already, and I haven't pulled the trigger yet. But as I think about this game more, at least from a logical perspective, number one, they're coming off a loss. And like you said, they're still in play for that number 1 seed. And I think they would certainly want to just get the division over and done with, at least too.
Right.
And I think Patrick Mahomes, I think this is a good matchup for Kansas City because Denver has, a good piece or two in that secondary, but Kansas City doesn't really have a number 1 receiver. They just throw it all over the place. They throw it to their backs. And then the defense that has worked best, I think, against Kansas City is dropping a bunch of people into coverage and just rushing maybe 3 and making Patrick Mahomes work within that. He's pretty good against pressure. I don't know what Denver will do on that side with pressure and everything, but I think Kansas City's offense is set up as well as about anyone to go against Denver's defense specifically. Not to blow them out or anything. I don't mean that, but I think they'll be able to put up enough points here that I think Kansas City even does come close to that number, but certainly like teasing it down a lot more than betting the number.
Yeah, well, first of all, I can't bet on Denver. I know that, but
Yeah.
I think that line is too high right now for Kansas City. I kind of see it as a little bit of a lower scoring game, maybe a 23-16 type game where Kansas City figures out a way to win. But I think it's going to be close. Hopefully, at least for this teaser bet, the Chiefs get it done here. And again, I think one key here is they got to stay patient. Andy Reid has to run the football. The Broncos can be run against for as well as their defense has played this year. They give up some yards on the ground. So it can't be all Mahomes slinging it around the yard. They're going to have to try to stay a little bit patient, try to run, in between the tackles a little bit. And I think they can. Whether or not, we know Andy Reid likes to kind of throw those running plays out the window by the time he gets to the second quarter there. But I think if they stay patient, they'll be fine.
I like it. The last thing, I just went and looked at this because I had a hunch that it was very low. Denver has gone over 16 points twice this year. Yep. So, and those two games were in the low 20s. It was 21 against Jacksonville and 23 against the Raiders early on. So just to your point again, when we're talking about covering especially a 2.5-point spread and a tease, basically Kansas City needs to get to 20,
that's it. And again, I would not be surprised if it ends up being that 20-13 or 23-16 type game. That's kind of what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I like it. Confidence on that one?
It's a teaser and it's not traditional. I'll give it an average 2 confidence there.
All right. I feel a 3 for it for me, but
I hope you're right.
Yeah, I hope I am too. Get you the sweep this week, right?
There you go.
All right. Well, that leaves us with the ever exciting plus money pick of the week.
Yeah, I will say I feel pretty good after basically starting 0 for 100 with these plus money picks. I've actually heated up a little bit with them, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. Again, it's like I'd love to pull the trigger on a massive upset like the Jets, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I certainly can't root against my team, even with that emotional hedge. So I'm not going to do that. So instead, I'm going to play another team total, but an alt team total. The Miami Dolphins, I'm going to take it over 29.5 points at plus 118. We talked about it on D Show on his podcast that when this team plays bad defenses, they flat out score. and they put up basically 4 30-plus point performances in a row. And really the one that burned me was when they put up 30 points in the first half. It didn't cover,
Yes.
but yeah, but I mean, they're playing a Chargers defense that is not very good. And in fairness, they are missing a lot of players on that defense. But I think that just goes to what this is going to be, which is an explosive offense that's going to have some creative play calling and some very, I'm going to call it safe play calling for their quarterback against a defense that doesn't generate pressure, can't really cover in the secondary, and can't stop the run. So you start looking at that and saying, how are they going to stop this offense? And I think especially with Miami coming off of a game that they were slowed down a little bit, I feel like they're going to have a good performance. It's a primetime game. They're going to want to, I mean, guys like, Tyreek Hill, they like to play in situations like that. I feel like for plus money, the odds of them getting to 30 in this game, they seem really good to me. So their normal line is 27.5. Give me a couple more points. I mean, if they can get to 28, surely they can get to 30, right? So give me a couple more points, give me the plus money, and let's see if they can kind of keep that streak of 30 points against bad defenses going.
100%. I mean, I think 35 is absolutely in the normal range of possibility for this game. I love what you said of that was awesome. They can't rush the passer. They can't cover anyone in the secondary, and they can't stop the run. I'm like, well, that's a pretty good setup for a team that does all of those things well. So
yeah,
plays against all those things well. So
it's a mismatch, and I think the one difference is that game that we got, or I got burned with the over against Houston, was Houston couldn't score. I think what we could have here is we could have the Chargers scoring. Yep. So if they can even somewhat keep pace, Miami's going to have to keep firing. So it's not like they're going to be like, oh, it's 24-0, and they're going to take their foot off the gas. I mean, they should be playing for 4 quarters, I'm imagining, in this game. So again, I feel like they can get to 30. And you mentioned it. I mean, I toyed with the idea of going to 31.5 for higher plus money, but I'm like, it's probably getting a little greedy. We'll stick with the 29.5 and try to get the winner. Greedy. Yeah, we'll try to hit the winner here and get it.
Yep. How confident are you on that one?
I'll give it a 2. I think it's a solid plus money wager. We'll see.
You've inspired me. I'm talking to D tomorrow morning, Friday morning, and recording my plays, and then I'll get this video out. I'm going to have to dive into some team totals tonight. I haven't done that for too long. I do have a first half play again that I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going with, which I have not done in a little while. So, always good to keep looking at those other angles.
For sure. Stuff. Absolutely, man. I'm a firm believer that the way to beat the books these days are with those other angles. It's hard going just straight against the spread these days. It's tough.
It absolutely is. All right, man. Well, hey, it's about time to go watch your showdown lineups come in first and hit some big scores tonight.
Yeah, man. We'll see how that goes. Devontae Adams, where you at?
He'll come through. Hey, if you are not already, follow Yanni at Yanni_bet on Twitter, or at, I always get it mixed up, at The Bet Crushers.
The Bet Crushers, yep. Yes. Yep, find us there.
And go to betcrushers.com. Personally, so I don't do a ton of DFS, but I have been enjoying putting in a couple lineups a week, and Yanni's articles are always the foundation for where I'm starting with those plays, and then I do a little research on my own and probably make some stupid lineup moves, but it's fun. That I'm just doing for fun. So do go check all that out and get the prop plays, the sides, the DFS, the whole shebang. All right. With that said, I will talk to you soon, man.
I appreciate it. Good luck this weekend.
All right. You too. All right, I got to give some props to D this week because it has been a long work week for him. He's had a ton going on. Told us yesterday that he had Darth Vader voice even. Yet this morning, I get a message from him, and he's like, hey, do we have time to knock this out real quick? So, man, thanks for making the time in the midst of a busy week.
For sure, man. Still have to do the show. Been a tough week. Busy work week, was feeling like crap, sore throat, sounded like crap, had a pet death in the family, and anybody who has pets knows that that's not easy, but you know what? We still have football, we still have friends, and we still have plenty of bets to be had. So let's get some winning bets, because Another tough spot has been I have not been so good lately. So we need to come out of that rut. I did get a win last week. I was hopeful for 2, but we couldn't get the second one. So we'll settle for the Lions. I think I got that team total last week. Thank Jesus.
You sure did. We could all use some 3-0s on this show right now, to be honest. Though.
Dude, it seems so easy from like week 2 to week 8 or 9. And then everything didn't get easy. It's just been like downward. I'm like, this should be the bottom. There's other things that happen. So looking forward to a long weekend of football. We've got 3 Saturday games. They're pretty good games. We've got a full slate on Sunday, and then there's a Monday night game too. So, and pretty entertaining game last night as the Niners keep their trek and their push towards what looks like potentially a 2 seed. But if your Vikes have anything to do with it, they'll hold them off. So, but let's get these picks in, right?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's just jump right into it. What do you want to start out with this week?
Since I've been in a shitty mood, how about the team that treated me well last week? Let's fade them. Let's fade the Lions and go with the Jets at -120 on the money line. Got it at DraftKings. There's more expensive ones out there. I'm looking at that this morning. I got this last night. Check DraftKings though. If you need to lay the 1 point, that's fine. I usually say, like, if I'm going to lay 1.5 points, if the money line's not too juicy, I'll take that instead. I think that the Jets and the Lions I think that the Jets are the better team. I think that the market has started to adjust a bit too much on the Lions. They have had an awesome offense, but I know what Jared Goff is capable of or not capable of outside and outdoors in the cold. We've seen it time and time again. What will play well for them is that they have a pretty damn good offensive line, but you're looking at a Jets team that pretty damn good D. Like, I rank them top defense, top 3 in the league since week 8, number 3 in success rate, number 3 in EPA per play since week 9. I think actually they're number 2 in terms of EPA per play. And look, they do their typical horseshit of grabbing and tugging and a lot of pass interference. And if they're letting that go, good luck to the Lions. If they're calling that, then, this is probably even more of a coin flip. But I'm going to take the Jets, who I think are the overall better team. Let's look at that Mike White injury. I know he's got that rib shot. All it takes is like sleeping on it the wrong way, and then all of a sudden you've got Zach Wilson back in play. So if Zach Wilson's starting, I'll probably try to get out of this bet. But with Mike White, I'm like, you know what? I'll take the Jets at home in the cold. Give me like a 24-21 final, and we're going to fade the Lions, who I know treated me well last week. But trading ranges, right? Trading ranges.
100%. Yep. So this is one of my picks too, and I'm gonna go back on what I said. I won't change my pick in terms of tracking because I already put it on video. But I took the Jets. I actually bet the Jets a while ago at -107 on the money line. So I certainly like that best. For the show, I did the -1.5, but I think you're right on actually. And there's actually on Barstool right now, it's
Nice.
-118. And so I would actually agree. I think the better play is to take the money line here.
Take the money line, and it's a pretty intriguing game because these teams could make the playoffs. I think, the Jets have the 7 seed right now, and the Lions are on their way. So if they continue to win, that they could take the number 7 seed. So really interesting. Loser not going to go home, but the loser of this game is in a little bit of hurt. If you're the Lions, you need this game, even though they've won like 5 of 6 games. I think that this is a tough spot. So trading ranges. Really nice bet by you to get the -107, but let's go Jets in the Meadowlands, a beautiful northern Jersey criteria and territory up there, right? So in the beautiful Meadowlands. So
Absolutely. I like it, man. All right. What's pick number 2 for the week?
number 2, I had trouble in terms of if I wanted the over in this game or Jags +4. I'm going to take Jags +4. I'm fading the Cowboys in this spot. I like the over in this game, though. Cowboys D, I know they're good. Showing a little bit of kinks in the armor right now. The Jaguars, though, Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he might have some staying power in this league. Since week 8, number 5 in EPA per play of all quarterbacks. The only guys ahead of him, Hurts, the guy that dissed, and Jared Goff, but he's outdoors this week, Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. So really good names there. Trevor Lawrence coming into his own. Doug Peterson kind of letting him rip it. Cowboys right now, look, I think that Cowboys and Eagles is going to be an awesome Christmas Eve game. And I think the Cowboys are favored in that game. But I think there could be a little bit of look ahead in this spot. I think that the Jaguars, who have screwed me in the past, like I kind of jumped on the bandwagon early and I rode them. I'm hoping that they can get this done at home. The Cowboys, and I always talk about like trading ranges. The Eagles kind of had that like down spot about a month ago. The Cowboys, maybe they're hitting theirs now, and they'll just need to climb out of it. So I do like the over here, the Jags defense, and the reason why this bet couldn't get home. And if you want to go for it, because I've been pretty shitty lately, but their defense is not good. So I could definitely see like a 27-24 type game. The over-under, I think, was up at 47 or so last night. Don't hate that. But Jags +4 because I think it's a game that they could definitely win, but I think it's a close one in the end. I think the Cowboys pull it out, but if it's like 24-23, then I get a W. And I'm hoping the Cowboys lose so that the Eagles can try to lock up this home field advantage. But it looks to me like a pretty close game, and I'm intrigued by what Trevor Lawrence is doing. If he keeps this up, those Jaguars futures bets for next year, Tasty, look pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about this earlier, and I really do feel very positive about the Jaguars going into next year. And I think everything that you said is spot on. I think this game being in Jacksonville is the reason that I didn't bet the Cowboys, because I actually, because of the trading ranges thing, sort of like the Cowboys here, but because it's in Jacksonville, I definitely don't feel confident in it.
Okay.
And so I actually think Jacksonville might be the side. I like what you're saying with the over. I think that makes a ton of sense. This Jaguars offense has been really humming lately. But I do think that the Cowboys should be able to put up some points as well. So I think that makes a ton of sense. And really, I will say this. I don't think the Jaguars at their potential are incredibly far behind the Cowboys. My main concern with the Jaguars is, can they do it every week yet? You know, or are they going to still be one of these teams that's just a little volatile up and down? It's not that I think the Cowboys are far and away better.
Consistent.
So, no, I like it, man.
Totally agree.
In Jacksonville,
they've been pretty
like
inconsistent to say the least. Yeah, for sure. Trading ranges for sure. Let's see. Technically, the Jags, if they win this game and get to 6-8, they're not out of it. They're playing pretty good football overall, but in the end, it's like, to your point, they've been very inconsistent. So I don't expect them to make the playoffs. I do expect them to keep this close. But hey, if you like the over, take the over. It's up to 48 now. Hey, if the Jaguars lose this game and I don't get this pick, then maybe you can just change my pick to the over, and then we'll just call it a day.
Absolutely, man. No integrity around here. We just change picks to winners. Actually, if we did
that's how it works on gambling Twitter, right? Yeah,
yeah,
100% how it works on gambling Twitter. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yep. All right, man. Well, that leaves us with the plus money pick for this week. So I know you got a banger coming here. What do you got?
I definitely have a banger coming. In terms of points, I didn't rank the first two. Jets, let's give that a 2. Jaguars, let's give that a 2. And let's give the plus money pick here a 3. How does that sound?
Woo!
And the plus money pick is going to be, because we need some confidence in a down week. Chargers, Titans over 49. I sold some points out, plus 119 at DraftKings. I think the standard over-under was at 47.5. I think that we're going to get some offense in this game. These Ds have been struggling overall. The Chargers, we know, speak of inconsistent. They are the epitome of lifelong inconsistence, and definitely in this year. I like this team overall. They've had a lot of injuries. They're getting some guys back offensively. And Herbert, you know, in any given week, he can look like the best quarterback in the league or a top 3. They're putting up points. Since week 8, though, Chargers defense, number 5 worst in EPA per play. I like to look at those stats. 26 in the league against the run. We know the Titans do well with the run. If you can stop Henry, great, and then they become one-dimensional unless they get the play action going. But if you can't stop the run, the floodgates can open. Hopefully they don't try to slow play this thing, because then that over 49 will, maybe have some trouble to get home. But I think that both teams can move the ball pretty effectively. Defensive injury report's not looking good either. The Titans injury report, if you look at that thing, Tasty, that thing is loaded. I think that most of these guys do play. It looks like they have a bit of a cluster injury at cornerback, but even if they do play, they're banged up. Herbert can pick them off. And then Chargers, in terms of their injury report, I'm looking at this. It looks like Derwin James hasn't practiced. He's probably training to sit as we record this early AM on Friday. Let's take a look if he practices today. But if he's out, that's bad in the Chargers secondary. So you have all these things coming together. Titans usually put together a pretty good script. I talk about training ranges. Titans have had their down spot, got their asses kicked in Philly for sure. But I think that they're just a solid overall team, probably going to be a playoff team because we talked about the Jaguars being pretty damn inconsistent. But you put all of this together and you try to shake it up. You say, okay, Chargers are not peaking, but they're on their way up. Who knows if that keeps going up? It probably won't because they're inconsistent. And these guys can move the ball. So if you give me 49 at plus 119, maybe I can try to get some plus units back from these losses recently, right? So over 49 it is.
I like it, man. And that's when a couple other people are on to not necessarily the alt line, but on the over in this game for some of the reasons you shared. And I think that's really good. It's not a game, honestly, that I had been on before talking to you guys, but a lot of consistency on seeing a lot of points being scored in this game. So I think that's a smart place to even get that plus line, right? You've actually been, they haven't all hit, but you've been fairly successful grabbing just a couple extra points either way in a lot of these totals this year to get plus money. That's been a good strategy. So
it works at times. It certainly tends to work at times. Plus picks have been okay overall. Chargers and Titans both need this game too. It's a really interesting game. This is probably a late afternoon game. It's not the night game, right? But if the Chargers lose this game, kind of screwed. If the Titans lose this game and the Jags actually do win, all of a sudden it's like, well, the Titans, you're not guaranteed a playoff spot either. And it's not the Colts who are challenging them because they screwed all of our futures tickets probably weeks and months ago, right? But it's the Jaguars creeping up. So very interest close to the NFL slate here as we have only 4 weeks left to the regular season. So coming down to the home stretch.
I'll just add in, I think your point about this being a big game for both those teams is a huge one, because I think Tennessee, they beat Jacksonville in the first game between those teams, I think, right? I should double check that because I don't. Oh, no, Jacksonville won. So this is actually a huge game for them, because if they lose this game, they're only one game up on Jacksonville, and Tennessee has the Texans, which they should be able to win, but then they have the Cowboys, and then they play the Jaguars again. So, man, if they lose this game, they are definitely, and the Jags beat the Cowboys, they're getting into dangerous territory for the division.
Yeah, if they lose this game, because they did just take out the Titans at Tennessee. That was this past, well, it's been a long week. So I guess I kind of tuned that out of my mind, but they beat the Titans at Tennessee by 14.
Oh my gosh, that was just December. Holy crap. I didn't remember at all.
It's been a long week. I've had a lot going on. There's a lot going on. We've got the end of the year and work and everything like that. Hey, if the listeners don't want to listen to what we just said in the past minute, that's totally cool, because the Jaguars definitely did beat the Titans last week by 14. And look, the Titans are not looking good right now. So if they put up another, if they go out west and put up another, slow spot, I'm going to be like, well, the Titans are definitely in danger zone. I'm not going to bet them on any overs, because if they go out there and struggle, the Jaguars could definitely be creeping on up here. So going to be an interesting finish to the season, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hey, man, I appreciate you making the time to jump on. It's always good to talk some football. Sorry for the loss you've had too, and I hope that this week can finish out well for you, man.
It's all good. I appreciate it. Have to make time for hobbies and for fun things, and let's get a winning week. It's another fun thing, right? So appreciate it.
That is awesome. Thanks, man. Before we get out of here, want to share picks from Kevin with you. This week, he is on the Chargers and Tennessee over 46.5. You heard D talk about that game, and actually Yanni and I talked about it some as well. seems to be a popular one. A lot of reason to like that. That is confidence level 3 for him. Philadelphia Eagles -4.5 first half. Another popular pick this week, confidence level 3 for him on that one as well. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers +135 going to Carolina. And I believe that's a confidence level 1 for him. I have to verify that as either 1 or 2. And unfortunately, I have not been able to connect with Phil on picks yet this week, so I do not have the picks for him for this show. Hopefully we'll get those and get them entered in the official show record for the overall season. That's it for Best Bets Week 15. Best of luck to you and all of your betting endeavors, not only in the full week of NFL that we have, but all these college bowl games, UFC, whatever you'll be betting. All the best, and I'll talk to you soon.